A summit between the European Union and the United Kingdom, set to take place on the 22nd of July, is looking increasingly doubtful after UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced his resignation on Monday. Brussels confirmed that the plans are being reassessed.
On the question of the EU-UK summit, against the announcement this morning of the resignation by Prime Minister Starmer, we are reassessing with President Costa and the UK the opportunity of still holding the summit as had been announced last week, and we will take it from here.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome.
Starmer's government had made restoring strained post-Brexit ties with the European Union a priority of his mandate. He was closing in on a series of deals to bolster trade, integrate electricity markets and boost youth mobility in time for the July summit, the second of its kind. Speaking from a podium in front of number 10 Downing Street on Monday, Starmer laid out a timetable for his departure that would see a new Prime Minister installed by September at the latest. But it is now looking increasingly likely that Andy Burnham, the former mayor of Greater Manchester, who's considered the favourite to succeed Starmer, could step into the role in mid-July.
The German government has announced that it intends to acquire 40% of the defence contractor KNDS, a move designed to bolster European arms production in partnership with its NATO and EU ally France. The decision deepens state involvement in a company whose hardware has become central to Europe's rearmament efforts. In a joint statement, Germany and France said they had agreed on the future strategy and governance of KNDS, which they intend to co-own through arrangements aimed at giving both countries equal shareholdings. Berlin framed the investment in explicitly strategic terms, saying it would secure lasting influence over a business it considers vital to European security and defense. The timing reflects a broader scramble across Europe to expand military spending and manufacturing capacity, as governments weigh the continued threat from Russia's war in Ukraine against growing doubts about the reliability of the US as a security guarantor.
The European Union has set the stage for decoupling Moldova's accession process from Ukraine's after both candidate nations overcame a 2-year veto to open their first negotiating cluster. Speaking at a summit in Brussels on Tuesday, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen suggested a separation might soon be inevitable, stating that every candidate country is ultimately responsible for its own merit-based progress.
We keep repeating it. It depends on Moldova and the willingness and the capability to do the necessary reforms. I have not the slightest doubt that they are absolutely able to do this, because we've seen the enormous progress beforehand. And as soon as possible, we will then open all the other clusters.
The two nations have been informally paired since the beginning of the war, but European Council President Antonio Costa praised Moldova for delivering reforms quickly, predicting the rapid unlocking of the remaining clusters. While Moldova's accession has progressed smoothly with minimal controversy, pairing the two countries has become problematic due to the complex optics of leaving a country at war behind on the waiting list. The issue remains highly sensitive in Kiev, with President Volodymyr Zelensky urging EU leaders to maintain a simultaneous accession process for both countries, with integration seen as a vital future security guarantee. Diplomats admit that a formal decoupling is now merely a matter of time, though Brussels remains keen to avoid a scenario in which Ukraine is held back solely by political vetoes. Pope Leo XIV warned that it is far easier in today's world to feed conflicts than to feed people during a visit to the United Nations World Food Programme headquarters on Monday. Speaking in Rome, the pontiff strongly denounced complex political decisions and skewed ideological positions that create numerous administrative barriers to humanitarian assistance while allowing weaponry to pass unhindered.
To strengthen solidarity in this spirit, I wish to appeal to the governments and peoples of the world to renew and strengthen their commitment, to increase the resources dedicated to combating hunger and its root causes, and to remove the obstacles that prevent aid from reaching those in need.
The Pope also stressed that this operational imbalance represents a severe breakdown in moral priorities, noting that chronic hunger actively erodes social cohesion and accelerates forced global migration. The Pontiff also reiterated that access to essential nourishment, water, and healthcare must never be subordinated to market commodities or volatile geopolitical interests. While praising the international organization for its dedicated commitment during natural disasters, he urged global leaders to place human dignity above market profit to ensure international stability.
Peace negotiations between Iran and the United States have concluded on a positive note, Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif said on Monday. The talks took place in a positive and constructive atmosphere and resulted in encouraging progress, including an agreement on a roadmap leading to a final deal within 60 days, he said in a message posted on X. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi wrote on X that tireless Pakistani and Qatari mediation has delivered major progress to end Lebanon war. He said the first real test of negotiations would be whether the deconfliction cell succeeded in halting the fighting in Lebanon. Lower-level talks are planned for the rest of the week as Iran and the United States agreed to create a deconfliction cell to address the fighting in Lebanon. It still remains unclear whether that will be enough to stop fighting between the Iran-backed Hezbollah and Israel, which occupies Lebanon and insists it must maintain a free hand to attack militants who are launching attacks into northern Israel. This remains one of the key sticking points in the agreement, as Iran moved to link the ongoing hostilities in Lebanon as a major component of any ceasefire deal it secures with the US.
A massive explosion followed by a blaze killed 13 workers and injured 66 others at Qatar's key natural gas export terminal in Ras Laffan on Sunday night. The accident took place as workers were resuming operations at the Barzan gas supply facility after Iran bombed it during the war.
The explosion at Qatar Energy's Barzan plant at the Ras Laffan industrial area could be felt some 90 kilometers away here in the capital Doha. Citizens and residents alike reported feeling their buildings shake, with some even saying the blast rattled their windows.
Qatar's energy minister said the country does not anticipate a gas shortage or an impact on Qatar's LNG exports.
We have ample supplies of gas to make up that loss from different projects and different capabilities that we have. So we don't see any shortage. It will not affect anything regarding export. It will not affect anything regarding our local requirements.
Prior to the explosion and suspension of operations from the war, the Barzan plant had an annual production capacity of 77 million metric tons of gas.
With temperatures expected to approach 40 degrees Celsius in the coming days, many workers are already changing their routines. In the Bordeaux vineyards, the workday now begins before dawn. As a heat wave settles over much of France, wineries are moving up their seasonal worker schedules to avoid the hottest hours of the day.
Plutôt que de faire 8h midi, 14h, 18h, on passe à 6h30 le matin jusqu'à 14h30 l'après-midi maximum, quoi.
But this change in schedule shouldn't make us forget the standard precautions when it comes to extreme heat.
Ce qu'on leur demande, c'est toujours d'avoir un t-shirt, alors short quand il fait chaud, et surtout toujours une casquette, se protéger et crème à bronzer pour éviter coups de soleil et insolation, quoi, tout simplement.
The alarm goes off earlier, but the seasonal workers aren't complaining. By starting their workday earlier, they avoid the crushing heat of the afternoon and can rest when temperatures become unbearable.
Ça nous laisse l'après-midi de libre pour se reposer pour le lendemain. Et là, oui, avec les températures, surtout en fin d'après-midi, c'est impossible.
Across France, this heat wave is already disrupting daily life. In schools and on construction sites, schedules are being adjusted to avoid the hottest hours of the day. Public transportation is also being monitored. According to climatologists, these heat waves are occurring earlier in the year and are becoming more frequent and intense due to climate change. This phenomenon now affects much of Europe.
Luigi Cherubini's Midday, presented by the Greek National Opera at the Ancient Theatre of Epidaurus on June 20th, was met with enthusiastic acclaim. An audience of 10,000 spectators gave a standing ovation to this visually stunning revival of the historic production that Maria Callas famously performed at the same venue in 1961. Demand for the production was extraordinary, with all tickets selling out as early as February.
Après, le personnage il est très difficile aussi parce qu'il faut aussi interpréter. Il ne faut pas seulement chanter, il faut l'interpréter, il faut vivre la femme qui est Médée, la magicienne, la sorcière et ce homicide atroce qu'elle fait à la fin de tuer ses enfants. Donc il faut vraiment se mettre dans ses vêtements pour vivre à 100% le personnage de Médée. Et c'est très difficile, surtout ici dans ce lieu où Maria Callas a chanté ce rôle magnifiquement.
The original 1961 production was directed by Alexis Minotis, with sets and costumes designed by Yannis Charouchis and choreography by Maria Hors. Reconstructing this landmark staging proved particularly challenging, as no video recording of the original production survives. The revival was the result of many years of research and meticulous study of archival material preserved in the Historical Archive of the Greek National Opera, the Cultural Foundation of the National Bank of Greece and various private archives and collections.
Έχουμε μόνο εικόνες που είναι μαυροάσπρες. Οπότε αυτές οι εικόνες μας βοήθησαν να αναπαράγουμε το σκηνικό. Στα κοστούμια δεν ήταν το ίδιο, γιατί είχαμε αρκετά κοστούμια, περίπου 150 της εποχής εκείνης από τον Τζαρούχη. Και αν δείτε σήμερα το αποτέλεσμα, δεν καταλαβαίνετε τη διαφορά μεταξύ του πρωτότυπου και αυτού που έχουμε κάνει τώρα.